G'day everyone, it's Justin and
Matt.
two dads again from BRRRRRM Australia, and we're coming to you today from a 2018 Citroen C4 Cactus. Now mate, the idea of the channel I guess is for all those mums and dads out there, if you want something fun and family friendly to drive, as opposed to, you know, your typical SUV or something like that, isn't it?
Right.
Right. So I thought today we'd bring down something pretty different. It's a Citroen for a start. They are pretty different in Australia, I guess, so it's a French car. And this car here is what they call the C4 Cactus, which is sort of like a, you know, a smallish hatchback semi-SUV thing. It's a little bit taller, off the ground.
Yep.
But having driven it for the week, it has got a lot of quirky features to it.
That's a good word to describe.
It is, isn't it? I mean, for a start, this car here, 1.2 litre, 3-cylinder turbo. It has 81 kilowatts at 5,500 RPM, 205 Newton meters at 1,500 RPM, so it's pretty torquey.
Yep.
Coupled with a 6-speed automatic transmission. 5.1 litres per 100 k's, so it's pretty good fuel consumption. It runs on 95 octane unleaded. It only weighs 1,125 kilos. Now, I think the philosophy behind this car was to sort of have it very light and fuel efficient. In Australia, I think we pretty much get the one sort of mechanical version now, which is this one.
Yep.
And at the moment, it's 29,990 drive away until the end of September. So, you know, it's pitched really amongst like those mainstream, you know, cars like Mazda 3 and stuff like that, aren't they? So,
That's how I see that.
But the quirkiness of this car, I mean, all right, let's start off with the driving impressions. You've had a drive of this car, mate. What do you think?
From a driving perspective, I've driven it now for about half an hour, and I'm starting to gel with the car.
Yep.
It hasn't happened as quickly as a lot of other cars, probably because of that design philosophy. But also, I'm being challenged with my thinking in regards to the dash layout, the audible note from the engine being a 3-cylinder 1.2 litre. I think it's a diesel. It's quite torquey down low, which defies the logic of a small capacity petrol engine. So it really challenges all those things about what is conventional for a car.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I really do. From the physical driving perspective, the torque is good down low, great city car aspect, the brakes are good, and I have found a fairly decent driving position. The visibility going forward it's not too bad. It's quite narrow for a front windscreen, and the rearward visibility is not fantastic.
It's because of those big C-pillars at the back, isn't it? So,
they're big, and you do notice that. So if you're trying to navigate small, tight spaces or go, you know, park in a tight parking lot, that might be a little bit challenging. But then there are other features which are integrated into the door, which may assist with that. With the air, what are they called? The
air bump.
Air bump.
Yep.
Which
on
is
the outside, which is primarily designed, I think, like for shopping centres, car parks, and things. So instead of, you know, like how many times have you come back to your car and seen somebody's shopping trolley going bang, hit the side of the car? This car's got these air bump things on the side, so they're designed to, you know, avoid damage to the car. They're actually like bits of plastic, so that's pretty good.
I like that.
Yep.
That's forward thinking, especially for what this car will probably be used for.
Yeah, city use. But just talking about the way it drives, I actually found that the steering was actually quite nice. It's electric power steering, but it's pretty direct, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, agreed. With the suspension, on the long travel bumps, it seems to ride that pretty well, but I've just noticed on a slightly bumpy road with some small divots, it does sort of crash over those a little bit, so you can tell the suspension's definitely more tuned for European conditions.
Smooth roads, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's right.
for sure.
So it is fairly firm, and we're on one of our normal sort of rougher Sydney roads, I suppose, here, and yeah, you can feel it. So.
Yeah, so it's something to consider.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's not offensive in regards to that aspect. Overall, it rides pretty well.
Yep. Now, mate, talking about design. Now, this is something we had a chat earlier when we first looked at the car. I mean, like you said, it's different for the sake of being different. I think, everything, like, let's start with the interior. Everything in this car is sort of moulded around this 7-inch touchscreen here. All the controls. There's no real buttons in the car. Everything is controlled from this, from your air conditioning to your nav to your music to your telephone, all controlled in the centre here. The instrument panel there, digital. Look, it doesn't have a tacho. That's a bit of a funny one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
But even like the door handles, which are like a strap. You've got this sort of pop-up glove box here, which looks like a briefcase, really.
It does. It has that feel to it.
Yeah, that's right. And even in the back, like the door handles in the back really double as storage spaces. You've got pop-out windows. You don't actually have wind-out windows in the back, which is like an old Mini, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah. And I
cool.
think it was designed, was to reduce the weight in the car, but. I think, if you've got kids, maybe they might not like that. I don't know. You might want a window or like a pet or something if you're carrying a pet in the car. That might be a bit of a funny one.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But, there are a lot of, like definite sort of, I think, French influences in this car. Like, unlike sort of, let's say Australian or American cars, one cup holder. I think the French want you to go to a cafe rather than drink a coffee in your car. So.
I see the merit in that. It's much more enjoyable drinking a coffee at a coffee shop.
That's right. And just the outside of the car with the the placement of the lights and things like that, and the shape of it, and the design. It's quite quirky. And I got to say, in the week of driving it, like, people notice you in this car, and I don't think it's actually just because of the colour. This one's bright yellow, but yeah, you do get noticed driving this car just purely of the shape, I think. So.
Oh, I've noticed that straight away.
Yeah. Now, aftermarket stuff in terms of after you've bought the car, Citroen actually give you a good warranty. It's a 5-year unlimited K warranty on the car.
That's very healthy.
Yeah, which is good. Safety features, I think, on the car, like it's pretty sort of basic safety features. You get, ABS brakes, you get stability control and stuff like that, but there's no autonomous emergency braking, or there's no lane departure warning or blind spot or anything like that in the car. You do get auto wipers, auto headlights, which is good.
Yep.
DAB, 60/40 rear split in the back for the seats. The boot, I've got to say, is it's pretty good. It does have a high lip though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you got to lift things over to get them in the boot.
That's not ideal.
Yeah. So. In the back, you had a little bit of difficulty sitting in the back, I guess, in your driving position.
Yeah, for sure. But for a teenager or anywhere up to that sort of size,
you might want to go for a bigger car.
Yeah,
that's right.
For a young family, for sure, that could work as the primary vehicle and maybe the only vehicle in the family.
Yep.
Maybe it's not going to be the best choice if those considerations are high on the list of priorities.
Yeah, but if you want something different, hey, why not?
That definitely ticks that box.
What do you think? X Factor. Is it something that you would, look back at the car when you park the car?
I would, because of the differences and the design focus. It's different to the norm.
Yep.
And from the front, the headlight assembly and the front aspect, actually, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the slimline headlights, and you've got the big Citroen logo on there, so it's a very bold statement.
Yep.
And in this colour, it definitely eye-catching.
Yep.
So it does have that sort of understated cool sort of factor.
You know what this car reminds me of? And I think, when you were younger, you go to a party, you meet the French exchange student, the one that, that's at the party, and
Yes.
and you know, he or she like is just so different to everything that you're used to, isn't it? Mate, that's what it comes across to me as this thing.
does.
It's French for the sake of being French.
Yes. Yeah. And they stick to those philosophies.
Yeah,
and
regardless.
you can see it through and through, and they do it with confidence.
Yep.
And you know, you've got to respect them for that.
Yeah, because you know, differences make the world a better place. I think.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Anyway, just want to put out a big thank you to our friends at Citroen Australia for the loan of the C4 Cactus this week. It's been an interesting drive, isn't
Yes.
it? So, yeah.
And enjoyable.
Yeah, and enjoyable. So, just want to say thank you to everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you.